Welcome to Sambhashanal, the newsroom series presented by the PR Hub. We are inviting interesting personalities from the newsroom to share perspectives on different related topics such as TV journalism, PR, communication, and many other related subjects. I am Neelima Somashekar, and this week we have Nolan Pinto, the deputy editor of Southfast. Nolan started his career with News 9 as a TV anchor and moved on to India Today as the senior correspondent for Karnataka. And after this, he started his stint with corporate communications and PR. Overall, Nolan has 15 years of experience in journalism, podcast, PR, and communication. Let's welcome Nolan Pinto to the Newsroom series presented by the PR Hub. Hello, Nolan. Welcome to the Newsroom series. And so good to have you today. How are you doing?
Neelima, thank you for having me here on your show. I'm doing pretty well. In fact, the weather is fabulous today for this recording as well.
Absolutely. And I must make a mention that you've been very kind enough to reschedule it. I am so grateful, and it means a lot to me that you're here today.
That's fine. My pleasure.
Yes. And what we're going to do today is, since it's a newsroom series, we're going to discuss a lot about what happens in a newsroom and more of your experiences on ground and your how has your stint been at the PR part of it. So let's deep dive into this. Very first and a very obvious question: what made you shift your career or take that decision to be into PR or communications?
So I started in 2010, March 3rd, 2010 to be exact. Started with News 9, which is just here. For about 3 years, I was a reporter. I used to cover crime. I used to cover the civic issues, a bit of politics. Then for the next...
I thought it was primary in politics.
4.5 years later, I became an anchor. And that's when I delved into political reporting.
Okay.
But when I joined India Today, that was a day before demonetization, is when I got to be a thorough political reporter. For national channels, primarily it's politics. So I covered politics for 5.5 years. I needed a break. I don't know, was it because of 12.5 years of non-stop, continuous being on the field, off the field, but as a TV reporter, sometimes you just want something new. I remember speaking to a lot of my PR friends. I mean, I did make a lot of friends because when I started in 2009-10, they also started their PR career. So we became friends over the past many years, almost a decade. They had told me, okay, Nolan, PR is different. It's not journalism. It's very different. And you are a journalist.
Yes.
Many do like PR, but we know you're a journalist. But I said, no, I want to try something different. So that's when I decided, okay, let me take this plunge. So June 2022 is when I joined PR for 2 years. So I wanted something different. I really thought it's going to be easy because you're a journalist. I'm going to deal with journalists.
Okay.
So how difficult can that be?
What we'll do is we'll circle that back, when we talk more into the PR aspect of this. Now that you're back, like it's literally your karma movie. From what you started to, when you were in India Today and News 9 to what it is now with Southfast, what are the differences? Do you see there's a lot of things that is drastically changed, like post-COVID? Or the way things are right now happening in your journalism?
News 9 and India Today were TV channels. So I've been a TV journalist all along. First, I'm a deputy editor over here, is a digital platform. Not much of a difference, but there is a difference. My role here is more managerial. So I don't do stories like I would be doing. I used to do stories in India Today on a daily basis. I focus on special stories.
Okay.
And I'm bringing my experience of a TV journalist to the digital sphere and helping them to build their video content, helping the print reporters who are now digital reporters there understand how to do video stories. So I feel it's a bit more calm, a bit more slower when compared to TV, digital. But the other aspect of digital is you need to put your stories out, because if you don't put your story out fast, you're losing out because there are so many digital platforms.
Exactly.
That's what I've seen. But we have a lot of good hands over there. The desk is very strong, and the desk needs to be very strong for any digital platform. So that's what I've seen over here. There, the onus many a times is on the field reporter. Here, it's the desk.
Other than this, format being digital and being TV, that what you were doing before, overall, do you see some kind of, because you're back after 3-4 years?
2 years,
right?
I've taken 2 years
So, do you see any kind of great changes, or you feel, man, this is it? Like my days was different, and now it is different.
Actually, not much.
Okay.
Because in India today, it was mandatory that even though we were TV reporters, we had to file copies.
Okay.
So we were writing copies on a daily basis. Not long form, at least short 250, 300 words.
Yes.
Mr. Arun Puri, the chairman of India Today, the TV Today group, stated that all his TV reporters had to know how to write.
Yes.
So we were judged as MVJs, most valued journalists, not on our TV stories, but on our text stories, our copies.
Yes.
So he wanted us to be good at that. If you're good at that, you can be good at anything else. So that helped me when I came over here. But I'm not seeing too much of a difference. But what I've seen is that the number of video stories also is increasing. People are now attuned to their mobile, watching what you would normally see on the screen. They watch it now on your mobile. So it's the same thing, but it's just shifted from the TV screen to your mobile. That's the only difference.
Box to your hand.
Yes. So you're doing the same thing. Literally, I'm doing the same thing. I'm shooting like how I would shoot earlier, but it's being seen on your mobile.
All right. Thanks for giving that overall, perspective of it. Now, since it's the Newsroom series, I would want to know from your view, what exactly happens when you say newsroom? Can you give us that perspective of what happens there, for PR people to understand more on that part?
I can give you an idea of how a TV newsroom works, and also a digital. TV is very interesting. So you have reporters, then you have an input desk, you have an output desk, you have copywriters, then you have video editors. So your story is assigned by the input desk. So in India Today, it was known as assignment desk and output. In Newsline, when I was TV9, it's known as input and output. So input, output, assignment and output.
Okay.
That's the difference. It's the same thing.
Okay.
So the input assigns you stories, or you give your stories and they say this is fine, or maybe tweak it, or they don't want the story. So once you do your story, you file your story. The output looks into it, it edits it. You have anchors or voiceover artists who will copy edit, who will voice it. That's then given to the video editors who will edit the story. Then your story is again checked by the senior video producer. Again checked by the output team. Then it's given to the bulletin producer called the BP desk on a daily basis, right? From the headlines to how which story needs to be treated. That is given to the PCR. The PCR is which controls what it's the production control room. So the anchor and the PCR work together. Yeah.
So if
this is the process.
So that's like, how much of say do you have when you kind of do a story, give it to your internal team? Would you, being as a journalist, any media organization, how much of say they would have once it goes out?
Depends. If you're in the headquarters, you do have a say. Much more say than when you're a bureau reporter. So I've been both. In News9, I was there in the newsroom. So I used to anchor also.
Yes.
So at times, I had to take control of, if I was in the morning shift, the morning newsroom, or in the evening shift, the evening newsroom, right? From which story goes on air, the type of stories, the copy editing, the voicing, how do we play the stories, along with the bulletin producers, and the assignment or the input desk. So we work together.
All right.
It's always teamwork.
Yes. Got it.
But when you're a bureau reporter, when I was in India Today, you don't have much say. You do your story, ultimately Delhi takes control. News9 is a regional channel, and News9 now is on the OTT. But India Today is a national channel, so national issues take priority. So a story that I might find important for me here is not important for them
Not more relevant to them.
nationally.
Yeah.
So I might shoot for 10 minutes and give a package which is 5 minutes, but they will ultimately take 1 minute, 20 seconds, 1 minute, 30 seconds. So it's a very different thing.
Got it. With all this years of stint, especially in being in journalism, I would want you to share with us what would be your harsh realities when you're into journalism, when you're doing journalism. Or even maybe you can, bring in that live reporting also. You can add to that, some harsh realities that you would want to share.
To tell you the truth, people are enamored by those who come on TV. They're like, okay, he or she is there on TV. But for us, there is so much that goes before we actually come on air. To do a live, we would have actually gone, covered our story. Many times for political reporters, I remember my camera person telling us we are always care of footpath because we are always sitting on the footpath.
Yes, yes.
Half the time waiting to catch political bites, we are standing, whether it rains,
Mercy of nature.
whether it's hot, I have to get that bite. If I miss that, my competitors will get it because they are all waiting. So no loo breaks, no food break, there's nothing. But trust me, it is during these times, it's our cab drivers who play a very important role. They're the ones who look after us.
Interesting.
Get us things because we can't leave. People don't know these aspects. But it's very difficult. As a print reporter, you can either give them a call. People are very happy to speak to you on the mobile because they're not coming on air. But as a TV reporter, you have to convince someone to come on air. Big difference when someone's face is being seen, making a comment or saying something against your local corporator or the government or something, mostly negative stories, than when someone's quote is put out.
Yes.
No doubt the quote is always there, but he or she is not seen.
Facing, being in front of the camera.
That's a very different thing. So for TV reporters to convince people, it's a whole new ball game.
I understand.
And you learn.
Yeah.
You learn how to do that over a period of time. But that's what I feel print reporters don't realize, the difficult nature of our job. Two, when we are covering natural calamities, I've covered a lot of them. Those are
Yes.
one of my most
Yes.
favorite stories. I know it's bad, but I like stories where you go over there and you don't plan and you have to plan on the spot. Those are the things that brings out a true journalist.
Yeah, the best in you
Yes.
also.
And yeah, and the risks involved, it's interesting. So what I'm trying to say is when you go to, print reporters don't have to be there. We need to be there. If a building has collapsed, we have to be there.
Yes.
Throughout the day, talking to people, convincing people. When there are deaths, we have to. It's easy to just talk to you, but
Yeah.
to convince you to come on camera when you have lost a loved one, it's very difficult. But that's our job.
Yeah.
That's our job. My first editor, I was with Midday for about 8 months, Midday in Bangalore, Aditya Anand. He was the resident editor. And I remember one story he told me, Nolan, leave your emotions at home. Because I struggled with one story. And he said, leave your emotions at home. Do your story as a journalist. Go back and take your emotions. Do your story. You have to inform the people. Emotions back home. And so that helped me.
I'm so glad I asked you this question. With all this, covering different civic issues and politics, were there any incidents where, you had some kind of threat?
There was once when we were attacked, and it was my camera person who saved me. He was pretty new in the field, and there was this story where it's in Whitefield. It's a company, it's an industry there, and there's so much of pollution, and it was creating havoc. We were planning to shut it down. I don't remember, was it Copper India, Coal India, something? And I thought I'll go and do the story. I went there. A few people came out, asked me what I'm doing here. I said, so much of pollution over here, and they're going to shut this place. I'm doing the story. He said, okay. In 2 minutes, I was surrounded by, I don't know, maybe 500, 600 people or much more. My camera person said, we have to leave. I had to go. They pulled my shirt. They hit me with their helmet. See, they were losing their job.
Okay.
I was looking at the aspect of it's destroying the environment over there, creating havoc. It was bad. They banged the car and everything. My camera person then spoke to them saying, no, we have come here to help you. In a matter of 1 minute, everything changed. Same people who were trying to attack me became my good friends. You really have to shut your mouth and not tell people what you're doing out there, especially when it's a story you know it's sensitive. You have to play it smart.
Yes.
See, they're not wrong. They're losing their jobs, and I realize how important it is to lose a job. You have commitments, you have families.
Yes.
On the other hand, it's creating havoc for the environment there. So, as a journalist, you must know how to deal with sensitive issues,
Yes.
how to manage, do your story, but how to manage it on the field. So, over a period of time, you learn these things. And for me, all my learnings, I've learned a lot from my camera persons. Reporters don't normally.
Your team plays an important role.
No, yes,
right,
but reporters, TV reporters normally don't respect their camera persons, and that's the worst thing. You are a team. Many a times they have more experience than you. I'm not saying listen completely, but work as a team. Your story does well. That's
an interesting thing to know. And before we circle back to the PR aspect of it, what are very interesting stories that you've covered, or can you share how has it been at the Southwest, or maybe you can club both and then you can share
all
something?
three. I can do that.
Yeah.
So many stories, in fact, to tell you the truth. I think one of my first stories as a brand new TV journalist, I'm happy that they actually sent me, was to cover the Mangalore air crash way back in 2010.
That was
bad. When we reached Mangalore, or Mangaluru today, I think the last 3 bodies were being brought up the hill. Deaths took place, yes, but covering that was a challenge. It was the monsoon, it was raining. I remember one instance where there was a Maharashtra reporter from TV9. There was the TV9 Kannada reporter and me. And I think the black box had just been found. We had to give a life. We were all drenched except one of us. So I remember us all sharing the same shirt, because you do the live first, then we'll remove the shirt and wear the next shirt. So because that was I think the Mumbai guy, mine or his, I don't remember whose shirt was the only person who was driving.
Oh, okay.
So, we had to do this, and all of us, if someone saw, we were wearing the same shirt for lives for their respective channels. So Mumbai, Kannada, and English.
Oh, okay.
So, there are interesting things over there.
Presumably the shirt size were like...
No, we had to tuck it in. So it was fine. This was an interesting thing, but these are the challenges we face. Then another challenge, I think, was India Today. Newsline, there was so much. Okay. But India Today is where I traveled across the state. I traveled across Karnataka. I traveled across South India. They gave me that opportunity. I covered COVID. I covered...
Yes.
I think for India Today's South reporters, I was the only one who covered COVID by traveling across Karnataka, Kerala. And the deaths I've seen was terrible. But my focus always was the human interest, how humanity still survives in spite of all this. So I tried to focus on that, how human beings, in spite of the deaths and the problems, are still fighting to survive. So I brought those type of stories out. That was interesting. The natural calamities in Kodagu, I was stuck there for 8 to 10 days, across North Karnataka during the floods in 2019. The political drama standing out throughout the day. There has been so much. I mean, India Today was the stories I covered over there. I think in 5.5 years I've covered was something like maybe 10 years worth of stories I've covered.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this. Just sharing this with you. We PR people, if we get a connect with Nolan, our stories get through. Vyoma was there, you were just there.
Yes.
And
Vyoma is to cover entertainment.
Entertainment, and I've interacted with her a lot. If you're connected with Nolan, it's like a pride for us. Circling back to PR, started off your career in PR and communications. A little more, what were your thought process? I'm like, because being a journalist is a different ball game altogether. And, when you're considering, the PR part and the communication part, and like, how did you make that switch?
I had a very good friend. She's still a good friend in Bose Communication. And she said, Nolan, PR is not for you. Many years ago. I'm like, I'm going to try. I didn't listen. But I needed a break. I needed a break from journalism. Maybe in hindsight now I'm thinking I should have just taken a 1 month break and got back to work. Um, I think I was headstrong and I said, no, I'm done with journalism.
Right.
I joined a PR agency. I was told before you go into Copcom, it's always good to have agency uh, experience and knowledge. I remember the first month when I joined PR, and I realized, okay, PR is different. And even though I was a journalist for so many years, and my colleagues, or former colleagues then and now colleagues again, are journalists, it was different because you're no more a journalist. You're a PR professional. So they were being nice to me when I would tell them that these stories are there, or these are my clients. They're being nice to me because we've been colleagues for a decade plus. But it was not easy. It was very difficult. And there's this Copcom client of ours then, who's now a good friend again. I remember she sending me a mail saying, Nolan, you do not know PR hygiene.
Okay.
And she sent me, what is PR hygiene? And I'm like, oops, okay. Because I joined as an account director and I had PR managers, I had a few PR executives under me. They knew all these things. I didn't know. I joined as a PR account director because of when I resigned from India Today, I was a senior special correspondent. So based on that level, they offered me the role of an account director. But I realized it was very difficult because I had multiple clients. I had a real estate client, I had a water client, I had, a hotel client. It was completely different. The way you have to think, the type of stories you have to come out with. You have to manage the client because your story is very different, your idea is different, but the client may not accept it because as a journalist, it's my idea and it's very different. So you're talking to people who are also journalists and you can convince them that this is the angle I want to take, and it's very different. But in PR, I found that the clients wanted something completely different many a times. Well, truth be told, which according to me never made sense. I knew as a journalist that this would not sell.
Exactly.
Okay, because I would not take it. So whenever they would tell me, I would say, see, I've come from a TV background and I would not take the story. So how will I sell it to other journalists if I myself am not convinced? But they would force. So these were the issues I faced, and I realized that maybe PR is not for me, but I said, okay, let me try for a year. I did, but no.
No?
No.
PR is something that I've been for the last 20 plus years being in PR, and then it's given me a lot because I'm very passionate. And what I've learned is you have clients one side, you have journalists one side, and then this is your organization internally. Then how you balance and stitch all together is so important. In my old organization, I also brought a journalist into my team, okay? We were building up the team and we bought. Then very, very enterprising, and she just said, yes, I would want to try. But then after coming in, it's very difficult for journalists to, walk that path of being, being a PR professional. But I have seen there are many journalists who have taken,
Yes.
who have gone to the agencies and doing well. I don't know how they are doing it, but
No, many journalists are
Yes,
doing well.
well.
Especially, I've realized print journalists do very well. Those journalists who have covered business
Yes.
are also doing really
Yes.
well. I
From the
didn't cover
strategy
business.
perspective, I think they kind of do that very well.
Yes. I've never covered business. I'm a political reporter. I've covered civic, I've covered crime. I mean, suddenly to get into business was a completely new ball game. So a lot of my colleagues who are print and TV journalists who have covered business are doing fabulous work
Okay.
in PR. So, but one thing, hats off to PR professionals after being there, PR and then Copcom, I've seen it's not an easy work, and you do much more sometimes work than journalists. So for those journalists who really don't understand and think it's an easy job, it's not. You put in a lot of hard work to come out with that pitch, dealing with so many people, so many entities.
I'm so
Kudos,
glad
kudos
that's-
to you all.
that you're
No,
talking
really,
the
I'm happy.
language.
I'm happy I got this experience for 2 years because I understood what's the other side.
Yes.
Even though it's a small 2 years, 2 years is a long time. Okay, it's not like a few months, but a lot of work PR professionals do.
Apart from that, the word that you use, PR hygiene, is there any specifically that's instances where you just said, I'm done with this PR part of it? Is there any that challenges part of it? Can you go a little bit detail?
Yeah, speaking to clients, especially the senior leadership with your clients. As a journalist, I would deal with them in a very different way, or they would deal with you in a very different way. Suddenly, as a PR professional, and you're talking to them, they really deal with PR professionals in a very different way. I have now noticed. Now, if I go and meet the same individual today as a journalist, as a deputy editor, he will be dealing with me in a very, very different way. And he will respond to the PR in a very different way. So I don't understand this. Why this fast? Why put out this face? I mean, it's the PR who is actually getting you your publicity.
Yes.
It's the PR who's going to keep you safe in case you say something wrong.
Yes.
It's the PR who's going to stick his or her neck out for crisis communication when your company does something wrong or gets into trouble with the government, or you encroach, or you do something terribly wrong. It's the PR who is actually going to save you.
Yes.
Why do you deal with the PR in a different way? I'm sure there are many other companies or clients who deal really well, but the experience I've had with some of the clients, like a water client that we had, they were fabulous. They were engineers, they were scientists from IISc, and they were really, really good. I mean, the way they treated us, the way they were willing to listen to our ideas, I loved working with them. In fact, my best experiences as a PR professional in the agency was with this one client. And we did so much with them because they were willing to listen. They were willing to understand. Yes, there are demands. There are demands everywhere. But I enjoyed working with them. But there are some I really hated. I mean, I hated from the core of my heart,
I'm
the
so
bottom
glad
of my
that they're
heart.
talking, because there would be some people not so good clients, and they would be good clients.
Yes.
When I started out with a media college. For a very long time, I stayed there. I thought after working in an organization, I thought I should have an agency. When I worked there in an agency, very close by, my boss used to tell me, Neelima, one thing you understand, educating the client is more important. Getting a news, it's very free. The editorial part, we all know it's free. Back in those days, it was like free, as not in these. You need to educate your client, what is doable and what is not
True, very
doable.
true, yes.
And for whatever services that you're giving him, he's paying you for that, not for the coverage that you get. The hygiene part of it, what is doable and what is not doable, is so important that we need to take them through this.
True,
right?
but I also had to learn a lot. When I talk about the PR hygiene, I realized, how do you send mails? We don't do that. I mean, in journalism, there's nothing like as was discussed on the phone. In fact, I use it now because I learned it in PR. I'm using it now.
Okay.
Basically, to cover yourself, as was discussed, then send repeat mails, mark everybody. We do that. We still do that in journalism as well. But I realized that PR was very insistent on doing this, that everybody needs to be marked on everything.
Yes. It's good that we are talking about this. According to me, PR is such a kind of a career where you are ready for any industry. Your basics, this is because I have learned a lot on my job from organizing agencies and the people that we work with. Everything is such a professional setup, and then this is the best which has happened to me. I don't know what I would have done, but as a professional, to be all those etiquettes in terms of email, in terms of talking nice to your
it's
client.
good.
Yeah,
It's
there's so
very
many
good.
things that
But as a journalist, sometimes you're built very different. So
yeah.
it was very
It because you're wired differently and we are wired differently. So that's the
So that's what I believe. You got to respect each profession.
yes. Some of the highlights that you said, you had a very good, water client, and is there any other highlights in PR which you felt that, oh, good, there are some nice moments apart from not nice moments? Can you share that as well?
When your stories come out, You know, when everything goes well, when the stories come out over there, when the clients send you that mail saying that, you know, this is job well done, we are happy with this, you feel happy.
We are on
And
the same page.
I really felt happy because
Yes.
it took a lot of work to get that done.
Yes.
And I remember one such incident when there was this flooding in 2022, July, August, September, somewhere around in HSR layout and all. And I got my client on my earlier channel, that was
Yes.
India Today. He spoke. The assignment had called me saying, Nolan, you have anybody there? I said, I have this one person, because they knew that I joined PR. And I got him there. And I remember having to explain that these are the issues that you need to speak on, don't speak on these. So it was nice that I could bring in my experience for the client, and the client worked on it. And he spoke, and they were really happy. You know, seeing that happening on air, and then after that, they telling us that they were very happy with this, felt good. It really felt good. So I did have some few interesting and experiences working with schools, getting things done. They were interesting. So not everything is bad.
Yes.
There are some really nice ones, but just that PR is not for me.
Amazing, amazing. Because we all go through that one mail, an appreciation mail from the client, or
No, you worked hard for it.
yes. And another thing is, because you have been on both the sides, you know, from the PR point of view, or from the lens of PR, what are the skills that you recommend for PR professionals?
I mean, I would be the wrong person to mention
I
that.
ask you because you've been on both the
Yes,
sides.
I had to learn everything. So I strongly believe that before journalists get into PR, they need to sort of undergo a boot camp. I would say that would be good. Talk to your PR friends, understand what all is necessary to learn. So it's not that because you're a journalist, you're just going to do really well over there. One is, if you're a business journalist, you can fit in proper. But if you're not a business journalist, we need to understand a lot of things, like the hygiene I mentioned, how to deal with clients, how to also keep your ego under check, because being a journalist is very different. We demand.
Yes.
I realized I could not demand over there. You know, I can say, no, I don't like this, but this isn't how it doesn't work in this way, or no, hoo-ha. But I realized I could not do all that there. So these things, I think maybe a boot camp for journalists planning to join PR would be really good.
From the PR side, what are the skills that you recommend? Some kind of skill set. You might say, I for detail, or write better pictures, or what according to you are the
Yes.
skills, PR skills
Yes.
that you recommend?
To understand what a journalist covers properly. Because many times I've seen PRs randomly sending pitch mails to journalists who do not cover that topic. It can be irritating at times. The pitch mails,
Been a kind of a
yes,
constant nagging
it's been
from-
going on for a long
yeah,
time.
Yes.
Pitch mails also need to change. I mean, we really need to stop sending those uber extra long mails. Journalists don't have time. They really don't have time.
So we try and keep it
It has
short.
to be as short as possible. Pitch the idea. If the journalist is interested, then you send everything. Because if you send everything along with that, especially for TV journalists, there's no time.
Okay.
Even digital, no, don't send long. I remember speaking to another PR agency recently, to all the people working over there, and I told them this: don't send pitch mails that are too long. Crisp, short, to the point. But before that, what PR professionals need to do, especially those starting, is to build a rapport with journalists. I'm not saying being friends and go out. No. I'm saying build a rapport.
Rapport.
One is you will understand what they are covering. Two, during your conversation, you can still pitch your story in a very nice way. And the journalist will also tell you whether it's interesting, whether it's not. And many journalists will also tell you what can make it interesting.
Exactly.
And what can make your pitch sell.
Yes.
Many of my PR friends, I said, see, this story will not work. But if you give that will work.
Yes.
In this story itself, there is something else which is more interesting.
Yes.
Sell that.
Okay.
So But that happens only if you build a rapport with journalists.
So the takeaways is like build a better rapport and try and write shorter, crisper pitches. Short, like
To the point.
right.
Don't
We are
irritate them with long mails.
we are running in the days, or we are in the times of 140 characters right now.
It works. It works.
Yes, right. Trying to come to the end of this conversation, and this conversation, it would be incomplete if we don't talk about AI, Nolan, because right now we are in that times or in generation where everything is driven by AI. So your thoughts on it?
AI is going to change everything. AI is, I would say, awesome, but for both, for journalists, for PR professionals, for corporate communication. I think use your ideas, but take the help of AI to make it better.
Better, yes.
Okay, data is so important for both PR as well, PR professionals as well as journalists. AI can help you source that data. When you're selling a story, you're pitching a story, you need to give them data.
Yes.
Journalists need to give data when they are putting out stories. So from the PR professionals, if I can stick to that, it's you give journalists data, it'll help you. Many times it's difficult for you to find the data. AI helps you.
Yes,
Your pitch mails can be made even better with the help of AI.
Yes.
AI will help you to change it, to understand what a journalist wants. Use it. It's your information. You're just asking AI to help you.
Right.
I think many posts will also get redundant. But the only issue over here is that that emotion will only come from a man.
Yes. That cannot be replaced.
AI will give you the information, but bringing in that emotional quotient is only from a human being.
Emotional element that cannot be replaced.
Use AI. I'm saying
Yes.
use AI. If you don't use AI, you will be redundant. You must know how to use AI. Don't use AI to copy. Use AI to become more efficient. Use
Yes.
AI to make your work easier. But it's your ideas, and ultimately, before you send whatever you're dealing with journalists, it is you. AI is just to help you.
Yes.
It's not a crutch. It's there. It's there to help you.
Yes. It's just one of the tool which will
use it as a tool.
You'll be more powerful with that.
it as a
Yes.
tool.
Yes. Amazing insights, amazing conversation, Nolan. Thank you so much. And then we'll move on to the next segment.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's start the signature round. We'll have some fun. Now let me explain what this is. It's a very simple dart game.
Okay.
Tricky part is the more you hit away from the bullseye, it's a tricky question or a wacky or a more fun question. Well, I have 5 questions here. Okay, we'll start. You can start with your first hit.
So away, trickier,
Yeah.
close by, safe.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. One aspect that no one knows about you.
Actually, I like gardening.
You like?
Gardening. I have realized that about myself recently, and I think maybe 1 or 2 people know about it. Isn't that?
Oh,
nobody
that's
knows.
nice.
Okay, fine. Let's try.
One movie star you like to date.
India or outside India?
It's anyone.
There used to be this movie star that I really liked when I was in school. This was Michelle Pfeiffer, and she was the best. So she's old now, but she was the person.
Be honest if you liked your PR job or no. Yes or no?
No.
Your first crush.
See, I studied in Kuwait. Okay, I was there for my schooling, a bit of my schooling. So there was this girl. She was my classmate. Never told her I liked her, so I had a big crush on her for 5 years. She's married in London now. But, yeah.
Okay. Okay. One personality that you would like to interview.
One personality I'd like to interview. Actually, truthfully speaking, the Prime Minister.
Wow.
If I get a chance, I'd like to speak to him on so many issues because I really find him interesting. Regardless of ideologies, leaving ideologies apart and all that, he's a very interesting man. So getting a chance to interview him from the Indian point of view or the Indian context, would be fabulous.
He's the face of India now. So
No, he's done things.
That-
He's actually changed how India is seen across the world.
that's why I've just said.
I want to talk to him and like figure out so many other things. There are many other questions that I have in my mind that I would want to ask him. So not just an interview. I would just like to sit and speak to him and figure out what, why, how, when, what are the reasons, why things are not being done, why things were done. Yes.
I wish you all the very best, and I hope you get this chance to interview.
I am really praying that I
PM
get a
one day.
chance.
It's been amazing. Thank you so much, Nolan. Wonderful conversation and insights that you had with us, and sharing many of your PR experiences and taking us through what exactly happens in a newsroom. Once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Neelima. Thank you for getting me over here, making me actually relive these experiences. It's actually fun. Thank you.
Yeah.